Joe, you said you wanted to take it away today, my friend. It's your time to shine.
My computer is frozen, as you might be able to see from my weird face. I still see the countdown screen, so welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm Joe McHugh. This is my beautiful Picasso face for the day, and we are here live with Evan Ransom and Danielle Willis, a former host, mother of Labs Advisors Live. Welcome, Danielle. And Evan, you take over from now because I got to figure out what's going on with my computer.
I was going to add Mother of Dragons as well to that title.
I will take that.
and Joe has left us for his internet connection. Oh, he's coming back. All right. Today's show is I'm really excited. I'm actually super glad Danielle's here as well. At any point, I could also possibly drop out. Today's internet is just going to be a thing for everybody here today, it appears. But today we are here with wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Marty Miller. How are you, sir?
Marty!
Yeah, when I was invited in, I didn't know Joe was bringing me into the Matrix. So pretty excited to be here and get involved in this. Yes, and ironically, Joe, you're not the only one. I'm coming to you from my Surface. My hard drive is, I don't know what's happening, but it's crashing. So it's one of those days, right? It's been a couple of days with the old internet. So
we're just waiting.
Yeah. We are currently labbing Labs Advisors Live, and we appreciate everybody here who's a part of this process with us. But Marty, tell us a little bit about what we are going to be talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me here, and definitely always appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit more about, KW Command and the resources that we have out there for learning. Specifically invited today to talk a little bit more about the 66-day challenge, which has grown and evolved and sort of taken a life of its own. So a little bit about me for the two people that I don't know. Marty Miller, I am a MAPS technology coach. I'm the regional technology trainer for South Texas. Been with Keller Williams now almost 10 years. I live in Katy, Texas, so right outside of Houston. I have my amazing, beautiful wife. We have twin 7-year-olds and a 1-year-old as well. So 3 daughters because I really like weddings. And that's the basics of who I am, what I have to offer. Wanted to talk a little bit about the 66-day challenge. It kind of, we just wrapped up 5.0. And so for those that have not been involved in the 66-day challenge, the history of that is kind of funny. I used to be a productivity coach for a market center when Kelly first came out. And for those of you not familiar, Kelly was our original, and still is, I guess, our original app for using all things Keller Williams technology and command. And my TL had asked me to record a video or two. I seemed to be the only one in the market center that knew how to record my phone. And so we recorded a video or two on training for what Kelly could do and sent that out. And then someone was like, you should do a few more of those. And then someone else said, well, what if you did a challenge? And it slowly evolved into a 66-day challenge around Kelly adoption originally. And ironically enough, there wasn't quite enough about Kelly to do 66 days worth of content. So we did 2 days worth of content. And then the third day, if you'll remember, it was a challenge to go make 5 referral partners in 2 separate states. And so every third day, we just threw out 2 states. Hey, go make referral partners in these 2 states, and then these 2 states, and these 2 states. And so once that wrapped up, Command had been released in its fullest form at that point, and we started doing videos from there. So that's basically the history, just kind of people that have just started getting in on it. Some may say, why is it called 5.0? Literally, this is the 5th iteration of the challenge. One thing that I like to tell people, and Evan and Danielle, Joe, you probably have the same thing. How did you get to know Command so well?
From using it.
Yeah, you want to learn it really well? Go do a video for 66 days in a row, and then you'll eventually learn it. The other favorite part that I have, and you guys have probably heard this one before as well, is how come it always works perfectly for you? Right? I never see on your videos, nothing ever goes wrong. And I'm like, do you know how many of those videos are on the cutting room floor, right? Like if I posted a blooper reel, it would be longer than 66 hours, right? I mean, it would just be, it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things that was really important to me, because I have a short attention span on the videos, was we can't do an hour. I don't even want to do a half hour. I don't even want to do 15 minutes. And so the average time of those videos is typically 6 to 7 minutes. And it needed to be bite-sized chunks. It needed to get straight to the point. Oftentimes people say, like, well, what sort of fancy technology are you using to record and edit these videos? I'm going to blow your mind right now, because this technology is cutting edge. Like, it's going to cost you so much money. You're going to have to search far and wide. I use PowerPoint. And that sounds weird. People are like, I didn't even know PowerPoint would let you do that. But literally, I do PowerPoint, insert video, record screen. It has, like, my camera isn't even on. It's just my voice and the screen, right? And so I think that's also important for people to learn when, if you wanted to create a video series or a training series, so many people get so hung up in the, well, what's it going to look like, and the polish. And there's some room for that, right? It can't be garbage. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be Emmy award-winning material, right? When you're trying to get a point across.
Absolutely.
So PowerPoint, that's the key. A lot of times people ask me, how do you get those created? And then it's really just breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, having a lesson plan. Right? When you want to teach something as big as command over 66 days, you don't just kind of wake up in the morning and say, well, what am I going to do today? Right? So from the beginning, it was kind of broken out. 4.0 was a unique challenge. Daniel, I think you might be one of the people too that reached out and said, well, I love what you did in the first few challenges, and yet it takes so long to get somebody into production when they're having to watch 66 videos to learn command, right? Which it could if you watch them back to back.
Yeah.
The 4.0 challenge is unique in that it gets you into production within the first week. And so if somebody was looking at YouTube right now or looking at the Google Sheet document I'll share in a second, the difference between 4.0 and 5.0, 4.0 does not go applet by applet, which transparently was very difficult for me to record because I'm a high C who wants to go contacts to tasks to, right, like smart plan stuff. I want to go down the list. And the vision behind 4.0 was how quickly could we get a new agent into income producing activities. And so if you get involved in 4.0 and you kind of start in the middle, it's going to be the train wreck, right? So 4.0 is definitely one to go from the very beginning, because you learn how to actually create a Facebook ad and have leads coming in within the first week. Every other video series.
I got to tell you, the way that you decided to change it up really is beneficial, because we do have agents, and some of the feedback that we got was that style of teaching doesn't work for me, going applet by applet. They just didn't get it. So you being able to go through and explain it in a different way and approach it in a different teaching style not only speaks to your ability as a trainer, but it also speaks to Command's ability to really dive in and be versatile for all of our agents, and it can be what you need it to be. So I'm really grateful that you did that, and that was super, super helpful for a lot of our agents. So thank you for constantly coming back and revamping it and making it what we need it to be.
100%. And I think that's the question I oftentimes get is, what's the difference? First of all, I'm going to be transparent. I should probably be in there taking down some of the 1.0, 2.0, and I'll do that in the 3 seconds of spare time I have between being a, all the roles that I hold, both personally and professionally. So at some point, yes. If somebody is watching this and saying, where should I start? You want to be in 4.0 or 5.0. And the difference between the two, 4.0, how I want to get straight into production, right? I don't need to learn everything. I'm the guy that shoot, then aim, then fire, right? Or fire, then aim. You know what I mean, right? You want to get into production as quickly as possible. Someone that wants to learn every single step of command first, that's 5.0, right? Going all the way through from beginning to end. But someone that wants to create leads in the first week, that's 4.0, right?
And of course, I was going to say, of course, 5.0 also has, for our foreign speaking, our other languages, right? That's newly introduced. So we can't not mention that.
That's so
absolutely.
Cool.
And yeah, massive props to Gilles, Lord, and to I'm forgetting Peter's name because I was thinking about Gilles going through some great stuff, right? Some pretty tough stuff right now. So say a prayer for Gilles. But Peter Alleman out of Miami, who just recently moved to Texas. Peter did the Spanish version, Gilles doing the French version. And yeah, that was a challenge that somebody had said, like, this is all fine and well, but what if English isn't your first language? I said, well, it's not going to be me because English is my only language, right? Like I can speak restaurant Spanish and that's about it after 16 years in the restaurant business.
Do we have the 66-day challenge in Pig Latin?
We're working on it. I'm supposed to say "esye." Is that the correct answer to that?
Good job. Well done.
Yeah. In time. There you go.
It'll be an incredible April 1st prank. Just putting that out there, Marty.
I got 6 months to work on it, right? So 5 months to work on it now. I'll get right on that. I will say, right, kind of a teaser, and I haven't decided how this looks or what this looks like, but I have an amazing maps coach who said, "What's next?" And I was like, "Well, duh, 6.0." And he said, "Well, what if you did 66 live?" Right, which is a great segue to what we're doing right now, right? You record the videos, you post the videos, but Marty, here's the reality: you have zero interaction with the people that watch your videos. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I was kind of like, yeah, Tim, that's how I like it, right? Because it's simple for me. I do it on my time. I post the videos when I'm ready. I'm not accountable to anyone. If they want to watch and leave comments, they can. And yet it's a great way for them to go to their resources, right? Their market center tech trainer, their team leader, their productivity coach, their rainmaker, and kind of ask a lot of those questions. But the challenge is, what would it look like? James Shaw has done an amazing job with Pivot Shift Ahead as an example of what an interactive and consistent Facebook group that meets via Zoom on a regular basis can become. I mean, that community is amazing. And so he and that group have become something that I think many of us could replicate. And that could be the possibility. So I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm not committing to it yet, but what would it look like for 66 Live, where we did a video a day, but it's actually live, where I would do a demo and then leave 10 minutes of question and answer and then move on, right? So
I think today's surprise announcement is that this is episode 1 of 66 Day Live.
We're going to go ahead and just post that today, right? That's going to be there. Yeah. So
I'm hearing debut, right? I'm hearing a little teaser, and I'm definitely hearing that you would like some accountability, and I think we can all step up to help be your accountability.
Right. That's ultimate accountability, right? Like he had that conversation with his coach in private, and now this is very, very public. So,
and it really, being transparent, the first few 66s almost killed me, right? Like I was so committed, right, and being very.
And we lost.
Oh no! Oh no!
Stop, and he's gone. Okay, so
let's take a moment to talk about that, because I think one of the things that I love about Marty's 66-day challenge is how he does break it down into bite sizes. So if I'm teaching long programs, I can always point people, and he is back, but I'll make this point. I'll make him wait in the lobby for a minute. I always love pointing, like, I do a whole thing on opportunities, and then I'm like, they need something on commissions. I'm like, oh, Marty's your guy. I give them that little piece and I let them work with it. So, but now Marty's going to be doing that live. So like, here he is to talk about it.
And he's
what happens? You drop your signal and you get committed to doing something, right? I don't know exactly where it cut off, but I do know that the commitment to 1.0 and even 2.0 was every day. Marty, it's a 66-day challenge. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. Frozen. We got you.
Frozen on my side, but we're just going to roll with it, right? So the commitment of a 66-day challenge is every single day. And Marty, if you're going to do a true one thing, right? Jay and Gary and Jeff and the commitment to a 66, it's every single day. So you can't take off weekends. You can't take off holidays. You can't take off, you know what I mean? And so the first two, there were days where I was 9:30 at night, starting to get ready for bed and saying, oh crap, like I forgot to post the 66 for today. Yeah. And there were times where like, hey, I know we got the girls' soccer game. I'm gonna have to get up extra early because I've got to make sure that I get the 66 out before I go to the girls' soccer game. And so I gave myself some grace as 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0 evolved. Ironically, no one has ever messaged me saying, where's the video for today? So if that gives you any indication, right? I don't know that anyone's following along live, which is sometimes the challenge of doing it live.
I think all of my emails are just going to your spam folder then is what's happening.
Is that what I put a filter on your emails, Evan. That's what I did. I basically said,
It's a wise choice.
Well, I mean, honestly, this right here today is a perfect example of what happens when you teach live. I know I was just teaching a class not but an hour ago, and I'm like, and here's how you do that. Never mind. We're just going to move on. So I think that's going to be a really unique challenge. And I think it's really important that people can see the human side of this, where we, even us as trainers, and, the one and only Marty Miller, who is like the king of all things 66-day challenge, even you run into technical difficulties. And I think it's important that we as everyday agents really see that as well. Because otherwise it does feel like you're perfect and you never run into problems.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't publish the blooper reel is I would have owed Mo like $10,000, and I just wasn't ready to check, right? So
it would have sounded like R2D2 talking.
It would not have been the best. There are times, right? And especially think about it from 1.0, 2.5 years ago, like Command has come so far. And I know it sounds like sometimes we talk about walking uphill in the snow both ways. And yet what a blessing we have in Chris Cox and Matt Green and, the stability challenge and everything that they've kind of gone through to really shore up KW Command and our usage. I think there may be some people that don't realize that I do have, and Joe, maybe I'll send you a link and you can publish it for Facebook. I don't know how this all works. You guys are so fancy on the StreamYard stuff, but there is,
the term is bougie.
I'm so sorry using the wrong term.
Yeah, send whatever you need to send. We'll get it out to people. We'll post it in Facebook and on the YouTube channel. So
perfect. So I will send a link to the document that I have on my screen right now. Joe, I can't see if you're sharing that, but if you can share that.
No, we lost your screen share when your computer crashed.
Oh. See, guys, this is what happens, right? You think everything just works perfect when I'm involved.
Yeah. There's this Douglas Adams quote that I always bring up in my tech classes, which is what we get is technology when what we want is stuff that works, right? And that's all we ever want. And what we get is technology. So yeah, it is.
All right, and so if I share it now, can you share that live?
There it goes.
When that happens.
Welcome to the Matrix. Okay, so now hopefully you're seeing my Google Sheet. Is that correct?
Yes,
that's correct.
All right, so we'll share this link. I'm going to show you two different ways, right? A lot of times people say, well, how do I get access to the challenge and how do I find the video that works? This Google Sheet is now available for anyone that wants the link, and we'll send that out. This has in it 5.0 from the beginning. So this is the most recent challenge. You're going to see what category or kind of applet we are discussing. You can see my high C was very excited about this challenge. So you can see it's all in order in 5.0, what day, really what the topic was, what the link, and then the time of the video.
I'm in awe of it. As a high I, this is amazing to see because I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but it's beautiful.
Then you have 4.0, right? And so we talked about that earlier. Like this is the chaos category that like still kind of gives me tweaks just looking at it. But 4.0, what's that?
I said, this is my brain. That's what you've got. That's my version. I love it.
Yeah. So 4.0 is the one that was most recent, right before. So the one before 5.0. And this version is for someone that says, hey, I want to get into production as quickly as possible. Like I need money yesterday. How do I start creating leads? And I'm not worried about all the other stuff. I just want to get in and start running ads, creating leads, and following up with them consistently. That's what you're going to see 4.0. And then we kind of play catch up afterwards. But like I said, day 7, you're running a Facebook ad. And you already have a custom built smart plan. You've got a landing page to direct them to. Your agent site is built. You've got everything set up as far as your ad campaign and your settings. And then you kind of learn Command as you get, now I have a lead, then what? Okay, I want to build an opportunity. And hey, they want to write an offer. Now what, right? So you kind of go through what the sales process might look like if you were going through that way. So that's kind of what 4.0 looks like. And now at the very bottom,
I would say, Marty, though, is I would say for those people who want to do it that way, it is important to do the whole thing, right? Because oftentimes when we do it that way, we stop. And then 6 months later, we're like, well, I didn't know command could do this.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to see it through, you're going to lose out on a lot of the potential that command has, which is why, like you, my brain is like, I want that first way. That's how I want to do it.
The girls oftentimes ask if they can eat in reverse. So like I said, 7-year-old twin girls, they ask if they can eat in reverse, which means that they get to order dessert first. It's a rare treat that we allow them to do this, but it's just kind of usually when we're celebrating or doing something fun, and we allow them to eat in reverse, which means they get to have dessert first. It doesn't mean they don't still get an entree, right? Yeah. They're still going to eat the vegetables and the steak and the potatoes or whatever else, the chicken tenders and the French fries, let's be real. But they still have to eat that. Like, it's not I just eat dessert, because if all we ever did was eat dessert, we're not going to get the job done. So yes, definitely go through the beginning, because you're like, the dessert is getting the leads, but the chicken tenders and the French fries is everything else. And you still need to eat your chicken tenders and your French fries, right? So making sure you get through. And then I had a mini. What's that?
This is great dietary advice, by the way, as well, everybody. So make sure you eat fried chicken and French fries, and then eat your desserts as well. Get them all in.
Next generation of healthy realtors started right here.
All the food groups.
So I've also got the team mini series. There's a lot of nuances working with teams. And so I did a few videos on that. And then down here at the bottom of this document, you can also see, again, 5.0 in Spanish. And then if I can see the tab, here we go, 5.0 in French. We are playing a little bit of catch up on these two documents, just a heads up. So on the French and Spanish, I think we're through day like 52, 53. We got a little bit more work to do on the translation and getting those posted, but we should have those completed probably by the end of next week, I would guess. And then the second thing, what was that?
I was going to say, are the Spanish and the French versions, they're using the international version as well, right?
No, they're actually using the standard version of command. Front door is the version of command that's international. And we found that this was really, the target wasn't necessarily to translate these videos for international agents, although they're amazing individuals and we love them. It was really to translate it for agents in the U.S. whose first language wasn't English and they preferred learning in a different language.
Well, right? Yeah, because we do, and we can't forget, like, we do have Canada is considered part of Keller Williams International, not Keller Williams Worldwide. So currently they have this version of command, and they speak French. So
absolutely, yep. The other thing I wanted to show you was the YouTube channel. So I do have a lot of people that say, hey, I just want to learn about a specific subject matter. I've already learned a lot about a command, but I want to go back and learn about something specific. And a lot of times they'll go in and they'll like YouTube search or Google search Marty Miller and then a topic, but they're only going to get one video. And then they're going to have several other videos that might be loosely connected. They might be from me. They might be from someone else. If you've never gone into YouTube and seen the playlist feature, I was very purposeful about when I was loading all of these videos to create playlists around the topic. So if you want to learn something, right, you can see that there are some topics in here that are already built out for the 66, in French and Spanish, etc. But if you start scrolling down, you're going to see, right, like, I just want to learn zip form. I just want to learn, let's keep going. Well, you got some stuff in here that's like, let me see. So teams, here's the mini series. I did one specifically on productivity coaches, right? And if you go through, you'll see that each of these is kind of broken down by actual subject matter. So that way you're going to see all of the content on that specific subject, right? And so you can see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos all in a row on that particular subject matter. So that was the other thing, is just going into the YouTube channel and actually clicking on the playlist option when you're in my channel to see everything that's available there as well. I want to make sure, though, that I'm very clear in that this is just one resource, and it's certainly not the best. Answers.kw.com. Guys, if you're not using that on a daily basis, people oftentimes are like, well, where do you go when you have problems? All right. I'm like, I go to Answers. Answers.kw.com, a massive resource. I want to make sure that I point that out. Paul and Bryson and the KWE team that manage that, like, it is literally a full-time job. It's their full-time job, keeping up with those articles and I'd like to consider myself a subject matter expert, but even times there's things that I get wrong or don't know, or, might not be the most latest update. And if you go to answers.kw.com, that's going to be the most absolute updated this morning version of anything that you're looking for. So certainly use the 66 as a resource. I'm happy to be a part of that. And yet not the only, and maybe not even always the best.
Yeah.
It's up there, but answers.kw.com.
We have that in the chat right now as well.
Awesome.
It is so funny. I got a number of calls because they were watching either one of my old videos or one that you did. And I think it was you did, I think, version 5 right before they updated in designs with the plus sign to create a new design to the thing in the top thing. So I had somebody who's like, I was watching Marty's video and he's telling me to click this plus sign and it's not there. Yeah. Right. And I'm just like, it was the simplest UI design and you would think it would be obvious. And yet sometimes when people are watching these videos, they get so narrow focused on what they're being told, they don't look around. Right. And so your point's great, which is if you don't have like your market center technology trainer on hand to say like, hey, where'd that button go? Check out answers.kw.com. It's probably just a little tweak or a little change. Personally, I don't like keeping the recorded videos up. You're very brave about that because I know over time, my information is going to become more and more irrelevant, and I'm opening myself up to more questions. So bless you for that. But
that's what I always tell people. I know it seems like you should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's like the absolute worst idea. You know what I mean? Just go 4 or 5. And I think the other thing too, I mean, oftentimes, Joe, that happens and people will point it out to me. And I wonder who has it worst, right? Paul, who has to update it.
Yeah.
Gets to update it. Or me, who can't update it, but sometimes would like to, right? Because there are certain videos that get a lot of questions. And it's like, well, I don't want to take down, 66 4.0 day 37 because it references something that's not there anymore, because then the calls will be, where's day 37?
Exactly.
Right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like you can't take down the entire challenge because one button moves. But if you pull down one day, you'll get more emails about where's day 37 than you will about a missing button. So,
but I got so many questions. I can't find that plus sign. And some of it was from mine. Some of it was people who I pointed in your direction. And I'm just like, all right, let's deep breaths.
Yeah.
Let's get
it's always my favorite when they say I'm missing something. And I can almost tell which challenge they're on by what button or what icon or what, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you went way back, right? Did you notice that 2019 by it? Did that give you any indicator as maybe that wasn't the best video, or there might be something newer, more recent? But it is what it is. And I'm glad people are excited about learning. It's just always look for the most recent version when possible.
Yeah.
The challenges are some of my favorite tools to recommend to our agents who are just dipping their toes into Command, or they tried it back in 2019 and it just wasn't a good fit and they got scared and they backed away from it. And they were like, Command is too much. And it's like, no. Come, just check it out. Just go watch Marty's videos and see what it can do now. And it really does just dive in and give us a better feel for it. So I'm really grateful for you putting the time and effort into it. I remember in your earlier versions, you would hear like, hey, it's Marty Miller. It's day 25. And you're like, you can do it, man.
Yeah. So, it is. What's the greatest day of buying a boat? It's the first day. And what's the worst? It's like the last day, or the second greatest day is the day you sell it. Week 1 is exciting and week last is also exciting, right? Because you realize, hey, I'm going to have a little extra time back to myself and no longer that massive commitment. But it is, and I think too, if I could give advice on watching it, have 2 devices, have 2 screens, something along those lines, right? Like I don't ever want someone to just binge watch it and then go attempt it. Right? Like actually having monitor open and whatever, like I've got my Surface to my desktop, or I've got even my phone. Watch the video on your phone. You can get enough of the screen on your phone to understand where I'm clicking and what I'm doing, but then have your computer up and pause and then do, and then pause and then do.
I do have some agents who've told me, and this is just feedback in my area, that they treat it like reading a recipe. They watch the entire thing first, they binge the whole thing first, and then go back and do it step by step with you. So again, it's all dependent on learning style. Some people do like to go back and pre-read it, if you will, and then dive into it. So there are lots of options for sure.
And I will say YouTube has a feature, if you guys aren't familiar, I know you three probably are, but for the viewing public, there's a gear icon in the bottom right that if you click on, you can actually speed me up.
Yes.
So if you can listen to me at like 1.25, 1.5, right, kind of audible style, like, look, I just need him to get to the point where he does this one thing, right? Like, so go ahead and speed me up. And then when it gets to the point where like, yeah, this is what I wanted to watch, slow it back down and watch it. You know what I mean? So I did have someone say your voice is a little bit deeper in person, and I didn't know what he meant. And he's like, I watch all your videos at 1.5. And I was like,
Alvin and the Chipmunk style.
That makes sense now. Yes, I totally agree.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I want to circle back because I think something you said, Danielle, is really important. When we talk about the real, not the real 66-day challenge, but the point of the 66-day challenge from the one thing, and that is you're doing something hard for 66 days, right? And so kudos to Marty for actually, doing 66 days of really teaching something that is not always easy to teach, and basically put this program together, and the program's become iconic for all the tech trainers, right? So we all know who you are as a result. So kudos to you for that. And then anybody who really is treating it like a 66-day challenge, there are probably going to be days you want to quit. And what we're doing is building the habit of jumping into command and running your business a little bit every day. And that's not a bad thing. And it might be difficult sometimes. And that's kind of the point. Yeah,
absolutely.
100% were there days where I didn't want to do it anymore, right? There was days 3.0, 2.0. There was days where I'm like, if they don't have a feature release tomorrow, I'm stuck. You know what I mean? Like there is literally, we're at day 61. They told us something else would be coming out tomorrow. I pray it does, or I'm going to be tap dancing, right? You know what I mean? So there were definitely days. And the other thing is too, right? Like best laid plans. The videos you see, you think that was exactly what I intended to record that day. There were many days where you had an idea, right? What's Mike Tyson say? Like everyone's got a game plan to get punched in the face. Like there were days where it's like, this is the subject matter we're going to record today. And then you got in and that subject matter just wasn't working appropriately. It wasn't working as intended. It didn't work the way I thought it was going to work. I thought that I just had to do this, and that's not how it worked. And you can choose to be frustrated and let that consume you and like just take 3 hours to record a video, or you can say, you know what, we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot today. We're going to do this portion of opportunities because I got this one down. And then later on tonight, when I've calmed down, I've got a little more spare time and I'm not running to a soccer game, I'll sit down and learn this portion more, better, whatever the word might be, and then record that for tomorrow, right? So as you're going through command, if there's a portion where you're like, hey, you know what, like I really want to learn this today, and you realize maybe I'm sprinting before I should have learned to walk, there are those options first, right? So
I would absolutely, abs and laps.
It just got real, people.
I
was invited.
Yes, you were invited. I want to take this moment to challenge anyone who's watching this to really take a moment. They've shown that if you really want to learn something really well, the best way to do that is to teach it, right? So I would challenge everyone watching this to take a moment, grab the 66-day challenge and grab another agent, right? And learn it. And then turn around and teach it either the same day or the next day. There is nothing more that will cement that in your brain than doing that.
100%. And then do it again.
Exactly.
And then do it again, right? Like my goal is to have the 66 no longer be necessary, right? Like, hey, we got this. We're good. We've got it taken care of, right? Like that was weird. Danielle went out joking.
Just like this episode, we're going to rebrand it as the Labs Advisors Live Musical Chairs Edition.
Yeah. When the internet goes wrong today, live, right?
Marty, I have a question for you while we're on this topic of using in different ways that you can implement using the 66-day challenge. For the folks that may be watching that are in, let's say, market center leadership, what are some creative ways that you've seen market centers use your platform, use your video series to encourage adoption or encourage engagement in their market centers?
Yeah,
I bet Abs and Labs has some opinions on this one.
Leadership using the 66. Go ahead, Abs. It's all you if you want it.
Not gonna lie, I was partially listening because I was typing the question to our host. But so 66-day challenge in leadership.
So some creative ways that people have used it as a market center or a leadership team. And I'll throw you a softball. One that I've seen is, realtors are extremely competitive. We're just a competitive group, right? People get into real estate because they're like, oh, whatever you can do, I can do better and I can make twice as much, right? So let's go. Having competitions set up around that, where I've seen people where it's just the honor system. Like, you're going to watch all 66. You're going to check in each week and say, watched all 7. I have had people where they've said, okay, so what color shirt was he wearing on day 6? And like, there's a quiz. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? So that's one way to do it, is like, all right, let's hold them accountable by having a contest, and we're going to give away some sort of technology-based prize, or, whatever, we'll waive your desk fee this month. I've had some PCs that have done things in their PC program where you get, some sort of prize or a competition there as well.
I know in Nashville we did a one where it was the honor-based system that you were talking about there, and the winner of that one got, I believe, a month of MAPS coaching from it as well. Which that became highly competitive really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had I don't know, what was it? PC Olympics. So when the Olympics were going on.
Yep.
And part of it was those videos. And then other parts were getting X amount of people in their database, tagging them, and just other pieces to get them immersed into Command and, starting their business really. So that was received really well. And some of the prizes were, had to do with coaching and just other things related to financial wins. And so when you're starting out, any money you can save or put towards your business is huge. So that was received really well. And our PC program, if I'm going to talk about that specifically with this contest, we have had the closings for what they had all of last year. We've already surpassed that in the PC program, just by being purposeful with not only Command, but all the other things that our coach is doing too. So
I love it. And I think there's being strategic about a reward that rewards you back. So if, Abby wins the program and I say, okay, we're competing for $100 in Facebook ad credits. Well, let's be real, right? Those are Facebook ads that are coming into Command, which reinforces the use of Command. Also, if I win and I get the $100 credit and I create, 50 leads and one of those closes, well, the market center gets back, 7, 10, 15, 30x, depending on what the cap might be, right? In return of that actual closing, right? So
yeah,
I think there's some opportunities there where you say, okay, we're gonna give away $500 in Facebook ad credits on this contest, but we know if we get one closing back of all of the 500, right, then the company dollar comes back into the market center. It's a win-win for everybody, right? So being creative.
This reminds me, and I don't know how many times I've heard this on the main stage. I'm sure I think it was Gary that said it. Was education without implementation is just entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're just going to watch the 66-day challenge, that's just entertainment, right? You might as well just go watch Netflix, right? You have to have something to implement. You have to have a way to do it. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it in the first place? So, and it sounds like your programs, like especially the ones you said, Abby, where you have that element of watching that, but you also have to do these things to get the credit in that competition. That is exactly that. It's getting them into action, and I think that's so awesome.
And the accountability piece too. I mean, it was like they had to submit each thing like weekly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, our coach has been very purposeful about holding them accountable too, because a lot of it was honor system, but others was also like, you need to submit it to me so that I can see that. And
and what happens with honor system, right? You find out 3 months later or 3, 6, 9 months later when closings happens or they don't, right? You know who's really been doing it and who hasn't.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that, one, it is difficult to track whether someone's watched a video or not, right? The quiz system was interesting. And even then, great. You know what color shirt I wore. Does that have any impact on your business? So I like the fact. What's that?
The color shirt thing would not work for me.
I was going to say, you got a pretty good chance if it was black, like when in doubt, bet on black, right? Not that we always bet on red, whatever. And I think the way that you're actually measuring those command data points of, hey, how many contacts do you have, right? What's the bar? And
today
this has been
happening on purpose.
No, this has been so for viewers that have been watching. If you've made this far, congratulations! I really appreciate you sticking around. This episode of Lab started with Joe and I both having internet connection issues leading up to this. So we reached out to Danielle to say, "Hey, Danielle, you know we may need you here because." And I actually reached out to you too, Abby, saying like, "Hey, we need someone because Joe and I's internet is not reliable, both of us." And Joe's been in and out. I've had people in the background. Then Danielle unfortunately lost her internet connection as well. And sure enough, Marty Miller, our good friend Marty, has also had some.
Literally, like I was emailing both of you like 5 minutes before. Hey, computer it's still. I'm watching the monitor behind the surface. Like there's my monitor. I still got the blue circling restarting wheel. I don't know, like.
I'm not even harassing all the people who did not put StreamYard to have their name because I don't even earn the right to harass them today with all the technical issues we've been having.
So I thought that there could only be a certain amount of people on StreamYard. And I thought I kicked Danielle out. I'm like, I think I'm going to leave.
We should have held that to her too. I mean, like that's absolutely what happened. But Abby, you're here now, so you can't do it. And you can talk to Danielle after.
New glasses. I mean.
So back onto our topic at hand. So we talked about some creative ways for market centers to use your tool to encourage engagement in production. Marty, what are some of the best ways you've seen agents use your tool? Because there's the obvious, hey, watch it every day, put what's in there. Has anybody gone another step ahead that you can think of that's just done something special that was very useful or valuable to them?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I don't know if there's agents. I mean, I know that there have been a couple that have done like watch parties where it's just, they'll get together with 1 or 2 agents, a small group and then watch them together, right? So then there's the power of, hey, Marty's not here to ask a question, but I can turn to Joe and be like, but what about this? Or what about, Abby, how would you use that? You know what I mean? So small groups. I think there's definitely that opportunity. It always makes me laugh when it's like, my kids even know your voice because I listen to your video every day. And I'm like, that's a little weird, right? Your kids know my voice. So, good morning. And they'll come in and be like, good morning. All of a sudden. But I think find accountability as an agent, right? I think the key is find accountability because it's one thing to say you're going to watch the videos and that's all fine and well. But day 12, you still watching the videos? Day 37, still there, right? Is that still in your calendar? Are you still doing it? Day 48, are you still watching? So who's going to hold you accountable to watching? And the other thing about accountability, right? Because that's where this all came from, right? 66-day challenge originally from the one thing and a book about, accountability, if you will. And one of those biggest things is who's going to hold you accountable and what's the risk? Even if you don't watch all 66 days, what are we taking away, right? Or what's the reward? Okay, so if you watch all 66, what are we going to reward you with? You know what I mean? So maybe it is some creative. I haven't heard of any. If you've got some, certainly let me know. I'd be happy to share them in the future. But what was your prize? What was your reward? By the time I watched Marty's 66 video, I'm going to go eat dinner in reverse. right? Whatever, right? Like what was your reward that you're going to have for watching this? Evan, I think it's a great question. I apologize. I don't have any solid, concrete examples.
No, that's good. That's good. But my reward was Disneyland.
Got
to
it.
be clear to everybody. Yeah, that was where I headed after I finished 66-day challenge.
Next time, don't shoot so low, Evan. I think that's, you're selling yourself short there, buddy.
Good deal. So we talked a little bit earlier, and kind of continuing on this vein, we talked about there being a 4.0 and a 5.0. Is there so we know 4.0 is kind of geared more towards, I want to get into production like right now, right? I want to get started immediately. What is the intended audience? That's kind of a weird way to put it, but who would benefit more from starting with 5.0 instead of 4.0?
Yeah, no, I think it is a great question. I think it's, what's the profile of the individual? There are some people that they are, right, that like, fire, aim, ready. And those are the people that they aren't going to make it to 66 because they need to be in production as soon as possible. And so that, I think that kind of individual, for me, I recorded it the way I would have watched it. They're in this order, so therefore I should learn them in this order, right? And that's just how I think, how my brain works, what my personality is go in this order. When faced with the challenge of doing them in order of production, it, like I said, it still kind of tweaks me out when I look at that list and I see the applets are all over the place. Right. But there are some people that are like, I don't care what order it is. I just want to learn what's the quickest way to start getting new leads into my system so I can create additional income opportunities. And so I don't necessarily know if a new agent has one way or the other. It might be the person that already has a base knowledge of command that goes 4.0, right? Like, hey, I'm already pretty familiar with it, but now I really want to use it to make money. What's the best way to get up and running to make money off of command? And that might be a route to go. 4.0 the first couple of weeks are all about getting in, creating leads, and then following up with them. A brand new agent that is a little, less tech savvy, maybe not as computer friendly, or maybe just hasn't used a CRM before. This is their first time in real estate. That might be a best use case for 5.0 because it picks off exactly where it left off, and there's no cliffhangers, there's no curveballs, there's no, all of a sudden we're in this totally different applet. You know what I mean? It's a very steady progression. So I think that would probably be a recommendation of 5 versus 4.
Now, this might be a little off topic on this, but I did notice when we were looking at the spreadsheet for 4.0, you have a huge section on zip forms.
Yeah.
So that's specific to your area, right? That wouldn't necessarily be something for everybody per se.
No, and that was created prior to NAR getting greedy and saying we're no longer going to provide this as an option, right? So right now, as long as your board plays with zip forms, you get it for free, right? And yet I know full well, and I think in that video series, it was one of those, hey, this is a fantastic way to get into DocuSign and using it even quicker and more efficiently and more effective if it works for you, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the only series that I did zip forms on. I had used zip forms in the past, but I had come to find that there were a lot of market centers that were like, the transition to DocuSign is so overwhelming that people aren't making change. Is there any tool that would make it easier? And I'm like, in my opinion, yes, as long as your board plays nice with zip forms, that is the accelerator to getting into DocuSign because, form templates and just the autofill and all the different things that you can do inside of zip forms. But totally realize that, yes, one, not all boards play nice with zip forms. And two, 3 months from now, that's going to be a paid option, unfortunately. So, but great point.
Good deal. So I'm gonna do this real quick for those that are watching live. You still have a pretty good amount of people watching. If you have questions for Mr. Marty Miller while we're on here, live spree, shoot them out. As we do that, let's go around the room in here for any last rounds of questions as we approach that top of the hour. We'll go in orders we see on screen. So we'll start with Abby.
You release your mic? And I was going to say, Evan, my mom and dad texted me and let me know they've got a hard stop at 4, so they're going to log off at that point. So if you could,
They're going to be on the phone. They need that for the dial-up.
Yeah, they got the dial-up is it's clogging up the phone lines. Yeah,
yeah, we got to get that going. Well, Abby is desperately searching for her microphone. Let's go with Joe real quick on any, and we can open up not just questions, but ahas, anything else that we want to mention. And again, guys that are watching live on Facebook, please feel free to put those in. I know Joe has a spiel about accepting StreamYard to be able to do that, but just throw them in there so we can maybe stump Marty here.
You know, I don't really have any questions. I mean, I think, and we lost Abby. I don't really have any questions. Obviously, you know, I love your resource. I love giving it to people because frankly, I hate myself on video recordings. Like I do lives beautifully, but I hate giving people recordings. And I think your point about using your videos in conjunction with answers.kw.com or any video, right? Because if you're looking at a video that's 6 months, 9 months, a year old, you're probably going to be missing out on something. So use those two things together to make sure you have the right information and go from there. So,
and I think you brought up a great point. There was right, PowerPoint as a tool. You're a tech guy and you're using like the most basic backwards way of capturing a screen in a slide presentation based program. But there was also some purpose and intentionality about doing that, because when I realized that PowerPoint didn't need, nor would it even want my video, it was great because it didn't matter, right? At 9:30, I am not professionally dressed enough to be recording myself on camera to do a video, right? And so it took that whole element of what do I look like and how do I feel about myself and how I look today out of the picture, because it didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. The other thing was it was never about me. It became more than me, and certainly is, you know, in part defined who I am with Keller Williams, and yet that wasn't ever the intention. And that was the other reason why I was very intentional about not having my video on it. There's many times where I don't even say my name. Good morning, Keller Williams. Welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge, day 53. Let's get started, right? And you either know who I am or you don't. I don't really care, right? Because it's not about me. It's about the content that you're learning. Yeah. And so I think it is one thing to think about when, man, I wish I could do a video series, but I hate the way I look on camera. Turn the camera off. No one cares what you look like anyway, right? Let's just be real. No one, I mean, if I was as pretty as Danielle, maybe, but you know what? Like they don't care. Joe, like I wish I had your locks. Like,
don't we all?
That's the angle you don't see. That's the real reason I'm not.
I'll send you the headshot of you that I used for the promo today. We just put that in the bottom left of all your videos.
I really appreciate you getting that high school yearbook out there, Evan, and taking that photo. It was a 96. Wow. That was a good year.
I'm sorry, Brett Bishop coming in with the burn. I don't even know.
Yes. I don't know who's directing that at.
That's me, Brett.
Yeah, right. But there's times where I think I have the voice for mimes, so it's okay, right? Like that's the thing, is that sometimes we get hung up on our own insecurities that we don't want to produce that.
Yeah.
And then you just got to get over that, right? Get over it or remove it from the equation. And so if I was worried about what I looked like on camera, I just took the camera off, right? It was, and it just made it quicker and easier for the audience. They're not worried about what I'm wearing, what's in my background. You know, why is his hair all jacked up like that, right? Like, you take it out of the equation so they can focus on what's on the screen and what's being said.
So, Marty, do you have, just out of curiosity, I've never gotten to ask you this, do you have one particular video or one particular like section within the series that you've created that is your hands down favorite piece? Like if you pick one and go, this is the one you get to watch, what would it be?
That's a good question.
If you were trapped on an island with only, you can only pick 3 days out of the 66-day challenge.
One tool, is it the saw or the hammer? You know, I think I'm a very creative person at heart. And so I really appreciate smart plans. The thing that I didn't like about smart plans and many of the other CRMs that I've been involved in was the lack of creativity that was allowed, and the shareability, right? And that was, you know, now we've gotten more and more CRMs are creating the shared library and yada, yada. But I love that in Keller Williams One, any of us can create amazing content. And how quickly and easily do we share it to the library?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember way back when, and some viewers may be too young to even know that this was hinted at as an option. It said free on our smart plans. Y'all remember when the button actually said free for a hot second? I couldn't envision a world where, at least personally, there would be a cost associated with a smart plan. It's the reason there's no cost associated with the 66, right? I am not compensated by Keller Williams in any way, shape, or form for that video series. Not at any point, not then, not now. And so I think it was just, that's the portion that I love the most, is just like the blank canvas and the ability to create amazing designs and amazing content. And you know, I saw a Halloween one the other day, and the text just said, "Hey, happy Halloween. Did you dress up this year?"
Now, great point there, Marty. And since you brought it up, we just like a quick word from our sponsors. Today's sponsor is Bang Energy. No, I'm just joking.
In classic YouTube style, we need Marty to drop the merch link in the newest drop. That's
You'll become one of my, what do they call the people that follow you? That I can't even remember. I'm so not YouTube literate, right? You're whatever. But the simpleness, right? That Halloween text. Yeah. All I really want to do, I don't care if they dressed up or not. I just want them to respond. But I never would have thought about something so simple as saying, "Happy Halloween. Did you dress up this year?" Because what do I want to do? I just want engagement, right? I would have thought of some like massively complex, detailed, like here are all the best places to go trick or treat, and the churches that have trick or trunk, and the most popular costumes for kids this year. And like 3 people would have opened it, and 1 would have cared. But if I send out a text message that says, "Happy Halloween, did you dress up this year?" More people are going to respond to a simple text like that than they are my detailed 10-hour written email about all the best places to be. And that I would not have come across if I wasn't searching Halloween in a shared smart plan library. So the ability to be creative, the ability to share with others, and the ability that we do that without even hesitation, rip it off all day long, right? Because there's more where that came from, and we come from contribution. Like I love it about our company, and I love the creativity we have in that outlet.
You embody coming from contribution, and on behalf of all of the agents who've benefited from what you've created of your own will and that you've shared with us. Thank you. It's truly, truly helpful for every one of our agents, not only new, but established agents as well. So thank you for being such an amazing contributor to all of our businesses.
Well, I appreciate that. And you're welcome.
Danielle just closed us out.
I think I did.
We're actually over time, so we do appreciate you being here, Marty.
Now leave. I'm kidding.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. We will see you back here next week. We're going to be having Jennifer Tim and Justice Roy from the enablement team on to show us all the things in the new team campaigns applet that launched earlier, or actually I want to say later last month or early last month. I can't remember which. We'll find out more about that next week. Outside of that, Marty, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And Marty, we need to know when your 66-day challenge live launches.
Joe, you'll be the second one to know. You'll be the second one to know, my friend.
All right.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having me.